We were the guinea pigs.
It's wonderful for fireproofing, fire retardant. The problem with asbestos is it kills you.
If you don't take that precautionary step, that's where you get into trouble.
There is no safe level of exposure to asbestos.
We didn't have a choice. Nobody told us.
This is your health. This is your family's health. You need to be careful.
I hope that some guy that's not driving a car very carefully hits me and kills me instantly so I don't have to suffer.
Hello, I'm Michael Russo. Asbestos is a fiber. It's natural. It's something you actually mine from the ground. It's been used pretty much forever. The ancient Greeks used it for cloth. Later, the Romans used asbestos in their building materials. In the United States, asbestos started being used everywhere in the early 1900s. Its use peaked during World War II and on up into the 1970s.
It's got incredible tensile strength. It's wonderful for fireproofing, fire retardant.
It's strong, durable, lightweight, flexible, heat and chemical resistant, it's easy to mine, and it's relatively inexpensive.
So you have this wonderful natural fiber that has so many different uses, so many different ways to improve our lives. Trouble is though, as scientists found out later, while it's improving your life, it may also be killing you.
The EPA says that there is no safe level of exposure to asbestos.
Asbestos, if left alone, is not a problem.
When the materials break down either by some kind of disturbance activity like construction or by natural deterioration, they can release small respirable airborne fibers, and these small fibers can penetrate deep into the lung and cause disease.
There has been a series of attempts to ban asbestos through the years with limited success. But many U.S. manufacturers don't bother making products with it anymore because of liability concerns. Still, asbestos is used in products like brake pads or products made in many other countries. Many countries that export their products to the United States.
No, asbestos isn't banned. There's certain materials that aren't in use anymore, so you won't find things like acoustic ceilings put in roughly after 1978. But you can still find it in automotive products like brakes. Pretty common still to find in roofing materials like asphalt.
Okay, so where is it? If you live in an older home, chances are it's in your attic, linoleum floors, roof tiles, or anywhere there's insulation. Again, if left alone, it is usually okay. Disturb it, rip it up, tear it out to remodel, and you may have problems.
Most of the time, I think those result from people not doing the survey to begin with. They don't know what they're dealing with, and so by mistake they get into it and start disturbing the materials. That's where we see the biggest violations and the biggest health concerns.
This video will look at what you, the construction worker, should do to deal with asbestos. At a union office in Los Angeles County, it doesn't take long to find somebody touched by asbestos.
Well, I first started putting on asbestos in the late 50s, early 60s.
Cesar Ramirez installed many types of asbestos on everything from piping to boiler systems.
Amosite, crocodiolite, what was the other one? Actiniolite.
Now 66, Ramirez has a wall full of training certificates.
You guys ready with that?
He teaches young construction workers the do's and don'ts to make sure history doesn't repeat itself.
Your hands were very rough. They would cut up pretty easily because it sucked up all the liquid in your hands. Generally, it really bothered your eyes. Then, of course, we had no protection of any kind. We just said, well, that's the way we got to work with it.
In 2002, Ramirez got the news from his doctor he had dreaded. He has asbestosis, the scarring of the lungs, scarring caused by airborne asbestos fibers. Breathing starts getting more difficult with time until one day breathing stops.
Very scary after seeing the way my father-in-law died with it, because my father-in-law was in the trade.
It ain't going to bother me. When it does, I'll deal with it. And when it does happen is when the scary part kicks in.
Tom Gutierrez heads up the Asbestos Workers Union local for Southern California, a local that he says loses one member each month from asbestos-related diseases. What he sees, he doesn't like.
I would be reduced down to 90 pounds, and it's almost nothing. Then you're on a lung. You almost want to pray to God that you do die, because you're grasping for breath that isn't even there. Your lungs are so scarred that you can't breathe anymore, and that you can't even brush your teeth because you're so tired that you're going to collapse.
But if you need the work, especially when you're just starting out, you'll take whatever job you can find, right? Well, the key is to not be afraid to ask questions about asbestos on the job and demand answers.
The worker has two options. One, he or she can quit, or call OSHA and let them know why they had to quit or why they got terminated.
They do have a right to contact us if they do have a concern about being exposed to asbestos. For instance, construction work, if they're going to be doing renovation type work, if they're going to be doing demolition type work, they should look out for what we would call presumed asbestos containing materials that are, part of the structure.
That would be the old tile, insulation, popcorn ceilings, etc. Things that are common in remodels of older buildings and condo conversions.
Not only is it for the benefit of your workers and the public, but it's against the law, because if these contractors come in and they don't do it right and they start to pull out asbestos containing material without complying with the law, without taking the proper protections, that's a civil or a criminal matter.
Let's say the contractor does the asbestos survey and asbestos is on site. Gutierrez shows us what you, the general construction worker, should see just on a smaller scale.
They must sign in at this entrance level here. The reason why they have to sign in is to make sure when this thing is all done, they want to make sure all the workers come out. Because this is a small little scale. On a larger scale, you could be, you want to make sure you have all your workers out. That worker will enter this thing with regular street clothes, and then again change in here and put on this suit. Then he'll go through the shower room, into the equipment room, pick up his equipment, and then go into the work area right here. Once he enters this work area here, this is where he'll start removing the asbestos or the hazardous materials. This negative air machine is always on. It must be on 24 hours a day, okay, so that any fiber release at all is going to go in here.
Sounds like a lot of fuss, but remember, asbestos is a hazardous material. At your construction site, you have the right to know if you're working on something containing asbestos or if a worker close by is doing asbestos removal. Think about safeguards, chambers, negative air, protective clothing, respirator. A simple dust mask does nothing.
More laws are stronger on this thing to protect the worker as long as everybody complies. If everybody plays by the same rules, we're going to be fine. If we don't, then we're going to have an epidemic in another 10 more years.
Anything has to do with respiratory protection, make sure you take care of your lungs, because you don't have a second chance, especially with asbestos. I mean, you got it, you got it.
Homeowners and renters, contractors and construction workers all need to be careful with asbestos. It can kill you, and if you smoke, it becomes even more deadly, way more. Remember, asbestos is a hazardous material. That means there are rules for working around it and for throwing it away. You can't just put it out on the street on trash day. Undisturbed, it's fine. But if you think you may have it in your home or job site, have it tested by a licensed asbestos expert before you start work. For more information, just visit our website at sdasbestos.org or call the county's Air Pollution Control District at 858-586-2707. Best advice? Check before you wreck. I'm Michael Russo. Thank you for watching.